Hello everybody, my name is Max McAllister. I've got a series of helpful cycling videos I call Cycle with Max. Today I want to talk about something I've just gotten involved with, which is indoor cycling using an internet-based cycling experience called Zwift, Z-W-I-F-T. Zwift isn't new, but it has been around for several years, and for those of you who've kind of watched the history, if you're cyclists, you might have seen on your Strava or other cycling apps this mysterious island appearing in the Pacific, in your ocean, and your friends riding circles around it out in the middle of nowhere. Now, that was the dawn of Zwift in a virtual island called Watopia, where the whole thing began. Now, everyone on Earth pretty much hates indoor cycling. It's a miserable experience. No one enjoys it, but they do it to try and keep some sort of fitness, either while they're recovering from injury, or maybe the number one reason is obviously inclement weather. So if you live someplace where it's impossible to ride due to snow and rain and freezing conditions, or conversely, if it's so hot where you live in the summertime that it's just too hot to go outside and try and do any miles, then indoor cycling has kind of been the option for people. But the experience has always been miserable. You put a bike on a trainer, the front wheel in a block, and ride, and staring at a wall. And normally it's not bright or even cheery like this. It's the dungeon. People call it the pain cave and all of that. So Zwift came along to try and improve that experience and make it interesting. And along it and concurrently with that, what was happening, some of the major trainer manufacturers were making smart trainers that could be controlled by a game. So these trainers will add resistance, make it harder. So when you come to a hill on the course, the trainer's going to add resistance, put the brakes on effectively, and make it so you either have to pedal harder or you've got to shift into easier gears to ride. Now, immediately I found out there's lots of misconceptions about Zwift and what it takes to get involved. Smart trainers are expensive. And everybody thinks, oh, if you don't have one, you can't play. That's not the truth at all. There's many ways to get involved in Zwifting and to get started. So the absolute dead, bare bones minimum, you gotta have a bike. Now, a road bike is pretty common, but doesn't have to be a road bike. Could be more of an upright cruiser style bike, as long as it has what would be considered the standard rear axle width, which is 130 millimeters for virtually all bicycles ever made. Okay, as long as you have that, then you can put it in a trainer. And so you might have this hanging on your dad's wall. You might have one of your own you abandoned years ago. You might have, become afraid of riding on the road with traffic. As people have gotten more aggressive towards cyclists, you might have just gotten older, got distracted, had kids, who knows what. Find that bike if you don't have one. It does not need to be a special bike. It doesn't need to be carbon or fancy wheels or anything. We're just going to put it on a trainer and spin the wheel, all right? Now, so the dead bare minimum, bicycle, some sort of a trainer, and some sort of a block for the front wheel to make the bike level. You don't even have to buy that. You can use wood blocks if you want for that. So as long as you can come up with a trainer and a bike, you're in. As far as connecting, you can basically play Zwift with almost anything that can connect to the internet. So laptop, PC, cell phone, tablet, almost any way, right? Now, so your first thing you'll need to do is go to Zwift.com, set up an account. You are allowed to ride 25 kilometers for free. 25 kilometers isn't very far for an actual cyclist, so that goes away really quickly. If you want to play the game, it's $15 a month, $14.99, and you can start it at any time and stop it at any time. So if you're someone that just wants to ride in the winter when the weather is inclement where you live, you can Zwift for 3 months, turn it off, and that's the end of the payments to it. So let's just pretend for the moment that we're going to connect with a laptop as kind of a simple thing, or a PC. What you need to do that, the bare minimum, is just a speed sensor for your wheel. So this is, if you can get you have a speed sensor, you can play the game. You need to be able to connect the speed sensor to your computer in some way. Most modern laptops have Bluetooth. So you'll need a Bluetooth wheel speed sensor to connect to Bluetooth on your computer. If you don't, you can buy a Bluetooth dongle for less than $10 almost anywhere. If you have an Ant Plus wheel speed sensor, same thing, Ant Plus Sense dongle. You just plug it in the USB port of anything you have, and that is also no money at all, a few bucks. And from there, it's just you pair it up. So you take your wheel speed sensor, put it on your bicycle. Once you have created your account, you'll go to Zwift.com for downloads, and you'll download the actual game to whatever it is you want to play on. I'm going to plug this thing in here real quick. Sorry about this, but I just kind of wanted to use that to show you. Come over here. Here's our game. Now we have the ultimate Zwifting stations here, and I'll explain those on another day. But I just want to show you. I have a laptop connected to a big screen TV with just a little docking station and an HDMI cord. It's no harder than that. So you don't have to have that. You could stand your cell phone up here. You can use a tablet, stand that up on its end. So you don't have to have any of this. This just makes it more fun and engaging. The more things get bigger and more involved, it gets a little more engaging. If it's engaging, you'll do it. That's the difference. Now, riding a trainer has always been a solo, miserable, boring experience you do by yourself. That's the next epic thing about Zwifting. There's 1.1 million subscribers to Zwift. There are people, thousands of people, riding in Zwift all over the world right now, 24 hours a day. So as every time zone moves around, people are getting up, getting off work, every circumstance, and they're all riding, okay? So when you open the app, or the game, it's gonna ask you to pair somehow, all right? And I'm gonna show you all there is to that. So, speed sensor. This is the dead minimum. We got a plain old bike and just a speed sensor. I'm gonna ask it to look for it. It asks you the size of your tire because it needs to know that how fast you're going. So what's the diameter of your tire is approximately. There's my speed sensor, it found it. I'm gonna tell it okay. It might ask you the brand of trainer you got. I happen to know that mine's, that's a Cyclops Pro over there. So I'm connected now, I'm ready to go. Some more fun for the game is a heart rate monitor. It'll read Ant Plus or Bluetooth. It'll pick up either one no matter what you've got. Okay, so as long as you would have to have little dongles for both of those if you want. All right, so, and then all you do is hit OK. When you go into the game's gonna load up. Watopia is always available to ride on, the island of Watopia. Then there's 5 other worlds: London, New York, the Richmond circuit where they raced the World Championships a few years ago, Innsbruck, and Yorkshire. And I think the London is the racing circuit from several years ago. Within each of those, they have tons of routes from a mile or to 150 miles. So it could be anything. They have tons of routes. You take a pick, you select a route and go for a ride. They have structured workouts so that you can train and very specifically to improve your cycling. Or if you want, you can join in to organized rides where you might ride from anywhere from 10 to 200 people. Now, at any given moment, there'll be tons and tons of people going. So we're just gonna say I'm gonna ride in London right now. And I go down here and I just hit the ride button. I'm gonna select it. You get to build an avatar that looks like you. So, and as you ride, of course, in any good game, there's lots of prizes. The more you ride, you're gonna get, oh, I'm connected to this other bike real quick. So the more you ride, the more prizes you get. And the prizes in this case are things like different kits, helmets, shoes, racing wheels, and fictitious wheels for your bike. So you hop on and start pedaling, and the machine's gonna figure out that you're gonna move, and your guy takes off and he starts riding. And I'm in the game. So I'm riding along. Right now on this course, there's 2,250 other riders. So all of those people I'm out riding with right now. Now, if I'm on a standard trainer, I'm not going to get the same level of engagement that a lot of riders would, because my trainer's not going to be controlled by the game in any way. So I'm going to get to spin. I'm going to get to watch the world go by. And it's certainly a lot better than riding alone in a dungeon. Now, I might be riding with my friends. I can join them, meet them, pile on with them, and that's just as easy as clicking one of their names. So you follow this. It's a very social thing, just like Facebook or something like that. You follow other riders and your friends. When you follow them, you can meet up anytime, anywhere in the world and go for a ride. So that's kind of all you need to get started. I'm going to do a whole series of videos on this, what I've learned and what I went through to get started myself, to where you get from ground zero up to the ultimate flight simulator here that we've got here at our house, and everything in between. And I'll show you the tips and tricks I've learned along the way, and how we're going to get to meet up with our friends, do some group rides, and have some fun, stay fit, and come into spring stronger and fitter than we've been in any year in the past. So pretty stoked about this for myself. I've had an injured hand, had to have surgery, and in the last 2 weeks I've been able to ride 200 miles, which I would never be able to do out on the open roads because of my injury. So very, very happy about all this. So this is what it'll kind of look like, and you'll see more to come. So my name's Max. Subscribe to this channel. There'll be, I have all kinds of different things I do instruction about. So just watch for these videos related to Zwift, and be sure to share them with your friends, and I'll keep this great content coming.